The Atlantic magazine has published what it says is the full text of a chat group mistakenly shared with a journalist by top officials of Donald Trump's administration. The leaked chat describes plans of an imminent attack on Yemen. The stunning details, including the times of strikes and types of aircraft being used, were all laid out in screenshots of the chat. The magazine said it was publishing the details after the Trump administration repeatedly denied that any classified information had been included in the unsecured chat. US President Donald Trump says that because the operation went according to that plan, no further action is required. The Democrats say the mere fact sensitive information was shared on the Signal messaging app means Signalgate, as it's now being called, must be investigated.
US attacks on Houthi rebels in Yemen this month were decisive, according to Donald Trump. The decision by top security officials to discuss plans for the strikes on the messaging app Signal rather than through official channels has sent shockwaves through Washington. The officials also seemed not to realise a journalist had been added to the group chat. He's the one who broke the story. Speaking to the Ingraham Angle on Fox News, US National Security Advisor Mike Waltz admitted he set up the group.
I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So but look, that's the part that we have to figure out, and that's the part that embarrassing, yes, but Pete and I are veterans. We know these operations. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened.
Done a great job.
Waltz stopped short of admitting the chat caused any major security concerns and has Donald Trump's backing.
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again.
The White House maintains no classified information was shared, despite the messages describing imminent attacks. Democrats are not convinced.
Putting aside for a moment that classified information should never be discussed over an unclassified system. It's also just mind-boggling to me that all these senior folks were on this line and nobody bothered to even check. Security Hygiene 101. Who are all the names? Who are they? Mr. Chairman,
Top intelligence officials are likely to face further grilling over the group chat when they testify before the House Intelligence Committee on Wednesday.
Now let's bring in Luca Trenta. He's an expert in intelligence and covert operations, and he's from Swansea University in the UK. Now, can you tell us, Luca, more about what exactly the Atlantic magazine has published today?
Yes, thank you for having me. In your evening show last night, I said that with all its denials, the Trump administration was almost challenging Goldberg to release the war plans. And this is what he's done. He released details of the weapons use, of the plans, of the sequencing, as he had written in his first article. And I think even more interestingly, there is also a clear indication that the CIA director was explicitly talking about CIA involvement in the operation, something that, again, should normally be very much classified.
Now, what consequences do you think this will have for Trump's administration?
I mean, until yesterday, we were told that there were no war plans being discussed in the chat. Today, and that there was no classified information. Today, we know that the very opposite is true. So in normal circumstances, there would certainly be investigations by the FBI, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly Congress. But we know that Trump has loyalists at the FBI and the Department of Justice, and it is unlikely that the Democrats alone will be able to actually do a full congressional investigation.
Now, if we think back to the campaign before the first Trump presidency, there was the issue of Hillary Clinton using a private email account to talk about state secrets, whatever. There was a huge outcry in the Trump team at that time. How does that compare to this breach?
should be made clear that there were no particular state secrets in Clinton's email. I don't think that is a good comparison. We're talking here about top secret information. I think a better comparison would be the terrible management of documents, National Security Council and presidential document that the first Trump administration did during Trump's first term, when he removed many of the documents from office and many were found at his Mar-a-Lago residence. I think the Clinton email comparison is a mistaken one here, regardless of how much spin.
Because it is was much more harmless, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And many of the people who are now involved in this Signal chat came out very strongly against that episode. And now they seem to have completely forgotten all their concerns with security breaches.
Luca Trenta there, expert in intelligence and covert operations from Swansea University. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.
And joining me now is DW correspondent Benjamin Alvarez Gruber, who is following this story for us in Washington, D.C. Benjamin, the magazine had initially declined to publish the chat details. What made them change their mind?
That's right. During this annual hearing of the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, those who were invited to testify, like the director of the National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, also the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, like several Trump administration officials, completely downplayed it. Gabbard said that no classified material was shared in the group. Ratcliffe said that the communication in the Signal chat was entirely permissible and lawful. And these are statements that put The Atlantic in a dilemma, they said, because the magazine, as a general rule, does not publish information about military operations if that could jeopardize the lives of US personnel. So in the first story that was published, they avoided specific details, but that's different in this second article that was shared with more details. Because after these statements from the Trump administration, they said there is a clear public interest in disclosing this information so that everyone can reach their own conclusions.
Now, what details has the magazine published?
They were openly talking about operational details, having a defense secretary writing whether is favorable, just confirmed with CENTCOM, that's the Central Command for the Middle East. We are a go for mission launch. And that was half an hour before this F-18 fighter jets departed on the first strike package. And as The Atlantic rightly pointed out, if this text had been received by someone hostile to the United States, the Houthis would have had time to prepare for what was meant to be a surprise attack on their stronghold. The details continue on when the strike should start, when this MQ-9s, those are the Reaper drones, would depart, and also the exact timing for the second strike of F-18 fighter jets, as well as the launch of the sea-based Tomahawks. Afterwards, the National Security Advisor texted real-time intelligence about the condition on the attack site, apparently in Sana'a in Yemen, and the Defense Secretary Hegseth posted that more strikes are ongoing, as he said, for hours tonight. And once again, that is a real risk for pilots involved in these operations.
Now, intelligence chiefs are currently testifying before the House Intelligence Committee. I believe we've seen live pictures of that. What reactions have there been so far?
That's right. This is the second hearing after some quite remarkable and heated exchanges yesterday. Some have reacted already to this second article of The Atlantic. One of them is Senator Michael Bennet, a Democrat from Colorado. And he said, I quote, "There is no doubt this text chain contains highly classified information. President Trump's senior-most national security officials should never have used an unsecured group chat for highly sensitive battle planning. Hegseth and Walz's continued denial of any wrongdoings only makes it worse." And he ended saying, for the sake of our national security and the safety of our troops, Hegseth and Walz must resign. And he's not alone there, because there have been several Democrats already demanding just more than words but resignations from those who were in this chat. And also yesterday said that there was no classified information, no location, no data. But as we see, it was pretty precise timing, planes involved in these strikes, and also the aftermath of these strikes in Yemen.
Benjamin, very briefly, what consequences can we expect for the Trump administration? Briefly, if you can.
So the Democrats are saying that there should be resignations. It's hard to imagine that it could be Hegseth. It was quite hard to get his nomination through the Senate. But let's see how long the National Security Advisor, Mark Waltz, can still stay in the position as pressure is ramping up from the Democrats saying that he should resign as soon as possible.
DW correspondent Benjamin Alvarez Gruber there reporting from Washington. Thank you, Ben.